All right. So it's taken me a while, but I think I've finally gotten my thoughts together on this whole Matthew Stafford trade to the Rams because I'm not necessarily shocked to see him being traded. He wanted out of Detroit, and apparently we've been hearing preferences of him wanting to go to LA. So the fact that this trade happened, I'm not surprised. This works out for him. He's in LA. He's where he wants to be now, and he's away from Detroit. That's great. But the biggest thing we're trying to talk about is what the Rams gave up to get him. Because not only do they ship Jared Goff off to the Detroit Lions, but they also gave them 2 future first-round picks and a third-round pick. And when I first heard that, I was looking at the Rams and thinking, what are you thinking? That is a massive overpay for Matthew Stafford. You gave up Jared Goff. Obviously, you wanted to get rid of him. But to give up Jared Goff and then 2 future first-round picks and a third-round pick for a quarterback that's been dealing with injuries the last several years, obviously, Matthew Stafford is still great. He's a great quarterback and is clearly an upgrade from Jared Goff. But you're giving that up for a quarterback that's been dealing with injuries and is about to be 33 in a week? What are the Rams thinking? And I'm looking at this like this is a massive overpay. But when you put Jared Goff into the equation and you take a look and really look at what both teams are trying to do, at the end of the day, I think you come out of this trade and you say, this was a win for both teams based on the path they're following right now and based on the situations they're dealing with and what their goals are moving forward. So let's take a look at it. When we first heard of this trade, or at least when I first heard of this trade, I'm thinking this is a massive overpay. Yes, Matthew Stafford is a clear upgrade over Jared Goff, and obviously you want to ship him off. But to give up 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick, that's too much. You're literally sacrificing your future for this. But then you have to really think about what the Rams are trying to do. They've got this number 1 defense, right, or at least the top 5 defense right now, and they've got weapons on the offense. They literally made the playoffs, and they got as far as the divisional round with Jared Goff. If they can get an upgrade at quarterback, they can win. It's clear as day the Rams are in a win-now situation. So bringing in an upgrade at quarterback, the main issue they've been dealing with last season, that's definitely a plus. You bring in Matthew Stafford, he has an elite defense, and he has weapons. That has to be the formula for a Super Bowl contending team. If everything goes well and Stafford stays healthy next year, the Rams should be a legit Super Bowl contender in the NFC. So making this decision is fine. But to give up those amount of draft picks and sacrifice their future, it makes sense. Not only does it make sense because they're planning for now, and this has literally put them in a Super Bowl or bust type of situation because they're in win-now mode, which is clear as day to everybody. They're in a win-now situation. But also, you have to think about Jared Goff. Jared Goff has a horrible contract, and he has 2 years left in that contract. When you take a look at the fact that they wanted to get rid of this guy, and Stafford was available, you have to understand that it's not about just getting Stafford. It's about getting Stafford while also getting rid of Goff and his horrible contract. Now, it's not easy to get rid of a quarterback or any type of player that has a really horrible contract. So it's definitely possible when you look at the situation, most likely if it was just a straight up trade just to get Matthew Stafford, they probably get Matthew Stafford for a first rounder, a third rounder, and maybe some other player. Or maybe you can get it for 2 second rounders or something like that. But it's not just about him. You have to take into account that Goff needs to get off this team and his contract's horrible and they want to get rid of him. So they probably add the extra first round pick and make it 2 first round picks and a third round pick. Because that extra first round pick is insurance to get this man off the team and assures the Lions that, we'll take these picks and we'll accept that horrible contract from Goff. So it was less about, when I look at this whole trade situation, it's less about, they gave up all of that just for Matthew Stafford, and more about they gave up all that to not only get Matthew Stafford, but to get Jared Goff and his contract off the team. So at the end of the day, I think you can live with that, and I don't think it's a massive overpay, and I don't think the Lions at the end of the day really fleeced them or they massively won the trade. When I look at it, honestly, both teams won the trade. When you look at the Lions situation, they look like they were done with Matthew Stafford, or at least Matthew Stafford looked like he was done with Detroit. And they're looking to rebuild. These draft picks are going to do great for them. And getting Jared Goff, yeah, he's not a great quarterback, at least not right now. Or I don't know what happened to him. Honestly, what happened to Goff? I mean, like, did people just forget this guy 2 years ago helped this team get to the Super Bowl? Was he a great quarterback? No, but he was actually a really good quarterback at some point. Go look at the 2018 season. He was a really good quarterback. I don't know what happened to him. It just seems like ever since he stepped on the field to play that Super Bowl against the Patriots and put up 3 points, this man has been nowhere to be found. What happened to Jared Goff? I'm so confused. What happened this past season that had the Rams organization thinking, we've got to get this man out of here? He's terrible. What happened? What happened? I'm so confused as to what happened because Goff used to be good. He used to be good. I'm not saying he was this great elite quarterback, but he used to be good. And ever since that Super Bowl where he put up 3 points, or his offense put up 3 points against probably the worst Patriots team that decade to go to the Super Bowl, ever since then, Goff has been nowhere to be found. The 2018 Goff disappeared. So yeah, it's just bad, man. It's just bad. And I look at this and I'm just thinking to myself, man, what can you do? What can you do? So I look at the situation for the Lions, and yeah, they're not getting a good Goff, but at the same time, he's somewhat of a presentable quarterback that they can put there right now for these 2 years because Goff's contract expires in 2 years. And since it expires in 2 years, they can get him out of here after that. And they're planning to rebuild for the future. So these draft picks can definitely help him out. So now if you're looking at the Lions, you get draft picks to help you build for the future. Matthew Stafford's gone, so you could start the rebuild. And you put a guy in Goff who can take over and be the quarterback for the next 2 years and just have him take over that role until his contract's up. And by then, you can use these draft picks you picked up to help build your team. So at the end of the day, I look at this situation and I feel like it works out for both parties because the Lions are looking towards the future and the Rams are in a win-now situation. So honestly, this really worked out for both teams. And again, at the end of the day, we'll look at the deal and most people be like, yeah, the Rams gave up too much. But it wasn't just about getting Matthew Stafford. It was about getting Matthew Stafford and also getting rid of Goff. And sometimes when you're getting rid of a quarterback with a bad contract, you may have to give up a bit too much in order to have another team take him. That's just how it works. Sometimes that's just the case. And in this situation, it's the case. So you just got to deal with it. I don't think the Lions aren't really too bad with that. Honestly, they probably could have gave up a first, a second, and a third. Or maybe I don't know if they had to give up 2 future first-round picks in order to give up Goff. Who knows? I don't know what they were talking about in the front office. Maybe they were like, no, we want 2 future first-round picks. If we're going to take Goff's terrible contract and give you Matthew Stafford, nah, we're going to need 2 firsts and a third. I don't know. At the end of the day, this is less about Matthew Stafford being the worth all that and more about it being not only Matthew Stafford going there, but Jared Goff, coming to Detroit. So they'll take the picks and Jared Goff to give you Matthew Stafford, but it had to be an overhaul. So at the end of the day, I think this works out for both teams. Now you get the Lions, they've got a quarterback that could be presentable for the next 2 years until his contract's up, and they can focus on rebuilding the team. Maybe depending on how bad Goff is, they'll probably, they'll have to rebuild somehow. Maybe they can get their quarterback. And hey, with those first-round picks they get, let's say, because they're future first-round picks, if the whole Stafford situation doesn't really work out for them, those picks could end up becoming really valuable towards looking for a quarterback for the future if you're the Lions. So this is a really good deal for them. Meanwhile, with the Rams, yeah, this is a good deal short term. They have willingly decided to sacrifice their future. They've got too many great players on these massive contracts, and in a couple years, this team ain't going to be contending for a Super Bowl. They're in a prime position with a top 5 defense and weapons on the offense to be able to compete. If they can get to the divisional round with Goff, I believe they're confident that they can get to the Super Bowl with a better quarterback. And Stafford, when healthy, can provide that for them. Because we know how great Stafford is as an individual player, and we've seen all the stuff he's had to gone through with Detroit. Let's be honest, Matthew Stafford's a great quarterback. When you actually give him a defense, he can take the team to the playoffs. The last time I remember Stafford having an elite defense or like a top 10 defense, what was it? 2014 or something like that. The last time I remember him doing that, the team went 11-5 and made the playoffs. I believe that was 2014 when they actually faced off with the Cowboys in the wild card round. That's the last time I remember Stafford having an elite defense. Because, he's been working with some horrible defenses, and honestly, it's caused him to have to carry the team at times. And yeah, I understand there are times Stafford has not looked great, but it's not like he's working with the best of weapons, okay? The team hasn't been great at providing him with weapons since, Megatron retired. So, he's been working with the remaining pieces of what's left on that offense and virtually no run game. I mean, their run game is one of the worst in the league. They don't really have a great run game, if you think about that. Lions don't really have great pieces on the offense. The run game is subpar. It's average, okay. And then the defense is just bad. Now he's going to the Rams where he's going to get better weapons, or at least some weapons. It should be an improvement for him. But what's going to be the improvement is actually having a legit defense now. So he has a legit defense. He's going to have some weapons on the offense. And I believe the Rams have somewhat of a run game. So, yeah, I think this works out for Stafford. If Stafford can stay healthy, then the Rams should be legit Super Bowl contenders. So at the end of the day, when you look at this situation, I feel like it works out for both parties. The Lions get to start their rebuild, and they have a quarterback that can be in that place for the next 2 years until his contract's up. And the Rams get an upgraded quarterback that should help them compete for a Super Bowl now within the next 2 years before they have to break this whole thing apart. So at the end of the day, we'll look at the trade and say they maybe gave up a bit too much. But I look at it and say I think it's a fair trade for both teams because they're going in two different directions. And at the end of the day, they had to give up what they had to give up, not only to get Matthew Stafford, but to give away Jared Goff and his terrible contract. So I think it worked out for both teams. That being said, I'm interested to see how Stafford helps improve this team because with him now on this squad, next season, there's no excuse. You got to the playoffs with Jared Goff. So the Rams not only need to be in the playoffs next season, but they have to at least make the NFC Championship game, right? It feels like a Super Bowl or bust for them. They have to be able to compete. And yeah, there are going to be a lot of teams there. I don't know what the Saints are going to look like because, Drew Brees is probably done. But who knows? Packers, I don't know about this whole Aaron Rodgers situation. I think he's going to come back, but who knows how that's going to go. Bucks, Brady is probably not going anywhere anytime soon. So, yeah, there should be some interesting teams in the NFC. So, I think they have a great shot to make the Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford if he can stay healthy. With the pieces on this team and the defense they have, he's got a great chance to make the Super Bowl. As for Goff, wish him the best of luck in Detroit. I don't know, man. His career's just gone downhill ever since the Super Bowl loss. He has not recovered since then. So I wish him the best of luck. I wish both these quarterbacks the best of luck. And we'll just see what happens this upcoming season. But, we're still waiting for the Super Bowl to happen next week, so we still got to deal with that. But, yeah, we'll see what happens next season with both the Rams and the Lions. With that being said, that's all I got, man. And I'm out of here. Peace.